Happy Tuesday, everyone. We have a very special guest with us today. We have the sister, Denora, of Erica Alonso. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thanks for being here with us today. So, tonight, everyone, we are going to be discussing the case of Erica Alonso. Denora here, would you like to just kick us off? Or Kat, you may want to jump in here with your first
Yeah.
questions.
Um, so can you tell me like where Erica grew up, her family life, what kind of kid she was? How old was she? She was,
Yeah, so Erica, she was born in LA, but she spent her whole life in Orange County, Laguna Hills, pretty much. She went to San Joaquin Elementary, Serrano Junior High, and then Laguna Hills High School. So she always stayed, around the area. 1 year she lived with me, but for like the whole 26 years, other 26 years, she lived in Orange County.
okay.
Um, Erica, and I'm gonna say is because she continues to be my sister. She is the middle child of five girls. I'm the oldest. Um, and she was super, super sweet, super shy, very very gullible, very I have where my sister, the one that's after me, Patty, we used to always like say stuff where she would have something nice and Erica would have something nice, right? Or Erica would have something new
Mhm.
and Patty would like trick her into, oh, look at this. This is way nicer. This is way cuter. This is way, and Erica would be like, oh, okay, and she was very gullible, very timid, very
Uh-huh.
shy. Um, but as she grew up, she grew out of that really quick. Going into her teenage years, she was very where you start to see how you are, testing your parents
Oh,
and
yes.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
She started to be the opposite, where she would sometimes get in trouble with my mom and stuff like that. But just your very typical child.
Mhm.
And I feel out of my siblings, she's the one that I got along with the most. Erica was the type of person that is she could adjust to any situation. So whenever like I would want to take someone, let's say from my family, I would tell her, "Hey, let's go here," because she was very adaptable. She could have a conversation with a child. She loved kids. She could have a conversation with somebody that she's never met and end up being friends with them and just chat away. She could talk to anybody. I love that about her. She was nowhere near shy. If I told her, "Let's go do this." Okay, let's go do that. Okay, yeah, let's go. Uh, I don't believe she was the kind of person that liked to waste her life. Like some of us will like to like lay around, just couch potatoes or whatever. She liked to each day do something different, do something special, do something meaningful. Because of that, also, I feel that she had many, many goals that she wanted to reach in life. One of the, I think, two main ones was that she wanted to go back to school. She liked art. I actually have some paintings of her that she's done. And now, of course, they're very special to me. And so she wanted to go back to school, but she wanted to do something with art. She didn't want to just do anything. She wanted to do something that she was gonna love and enjoy and make her, continue love life and stuff. The second thing I think was having kids. She wanted to have a family. My mom, she had a quinceañera, which in the Hispanic culture is when you turn 15. And she had the dress, and my mom told me that she had told her to save it. And then when she had a daughter, she wanted her to make it into something, a blanket or something. Um, my mom still has a dress, and she actually kind of regrets not putting it in the coffin with her.
Oh, she looks like she would be like your best friend. You know, she just seems like she has that personality. Like she would be such a great girlfriend to have, or sister, or cousin. And looks
Yeah,
like
she made everything fun. I liked it because she made everything fun. If something was boring, she would come along and she would make everything interesting. Like if, we were bored, she would start singing. She was, again, she was very adaptable, very, you would not see her, let's say at a party, and you wouldn't know she was there because she liked to come up to people, go, hey, my name's Erica, or hey, da da da, hey, have I seen you from somewhere? Hey, so I've gone to this school, da da, just like talk, 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 talk.
oh,
And yeah,
we've got some more
Oh,
photos.
lovely. Um, so she was sorry, I'm looking at my notes. 27 when she went missing, is that correct?
yeah, 27.
Um,
The next month it was she was gonna be turning 28, so she never was able to go to get her to 28th birthday. We were still looking for her. Actually on the day before her 28th birthday is when her car was found.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that kind of gave us some hope, a little bit of hope of, okay, hoping to find something in the car or some kind of clue. That gave us a little bit of hope, that something at first we were trying, how a lot of times you find the person in the car, stuff like that. That didn't happen. So we were like, okay, we were thankful. And then, we were hopeful because, okay, that means that she's not there. I at first, right when I was told who the last person was that she was with and had talked to her, that always made me feel like something wrong had happened, something bad had happened to her. But as we were looking for her, posting the flyers everywhere, literally wherever people would take them down, we would put them back up. A lot of times conversation will come into where like, oh, maybe, she was sex trafficked or this and that. And then I would let my mind, well, maybe, hopefully. But then I was like, then I'm being selfish because just because I want her to be alive, that means that, she's going through something bad. And from what I've heard, a lot of times people, oh, well, as long as she comes back, as long as my loved one, but then you don't realize that if they have gone through that, they don't come back the same person. They're very traumatized,
That's
so then I was thinking to myself, well, then I'm being selfish because I just want her to be back no matter what,
yeah,
so it makes you, again, but it gives you that little hope. But if she is alive, she can still come back,
right.
so.
So before we jump into the actual disappearance of her, and that person of interest, in your opinion, that may or may not be responsible for her death or unaliving. Not sure. You have to kind of change your wording there per platform. Did you know, Kat? I'll take this next one. Did she have a pattern? Like, did you notice any sort of pattern with? And I mean, you could start off anywhere from like her first boyfriend onward. Was there a pattern in like the guys that she was dating, or the friends that she was around, or anything like that? More so with the guys she was dating.
To me, this was the first boyfriend that there was violence. Um, from she, it's just she was very. I've said this before, where I was very surprised that she was going out with this person. First of all, the age. Second of all, um, it wasn't the same kind of person that was her age into the same kind of things. Um, and I had never heard any other problems from any other person that she had, gone. It was like regular relationships. And from her coming from her to go into a relationship where somebody would either physically hurt her or mentally, it was very surprising to me.
Gotcha.
Um, because it was she when you would meet her, she was not like that. She would not take people's crap.
Yeah.
She was not the kind that would let you. She would stand up for other people. She was like that. So for her not to step up for herself, it made me think like what's going on here?
How long
Why is she
had
being
she
like that? Hmm.
how long had she been dating him prior to her disappearance?
It's about almost 2 years off and on.
Gotcha. And he's younger or older?
No, he's older.
Older.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And were they living together? Just for people that are not aware of any details about
At one point they were living together. And again, she was, as I've said before, most of us females, when we get into a relationship, we invest time, we invest our age, we invest everything. It's because we want a relationship out of it. And I feel that's where she was. She wanted to have eventually a family, and she was trying to work things out. She would ask me for recipes. She loved this meatball soup that I would make, and she would ask me, and then she would show me all proud, like, look, send me a picture, look, I made it. And she wanted to have that a family of her own, you
Sure.
know.
So let's jump right into the actual disappearance of her, and then you could segue into the photos here on the right. So just to confirm for everyone watching, the photo of Erica and the male on the left is her ex-boyfriend. And so, yeah, if you want to just kick that off and start going over, the dates, what transpired on that evening or on that day. I mean, we can go back as far back as you need to, and then kind of segue here into the last captured photos of Erica.
Yeah. So again, they had met through a mutual friend, I'll say. And they started first talking, and then they started going out. Um, they would go to music festivals. I feel for her age, that was the appropriate thing that she would go to. He was almost 40, so I don't. Again, she would bring him along. I don't know if he would go because he liked it or just because she was going. A lot of times they would go to trips like to Vegas, and again, it was all of her friends, and he would come along, kind of like to me, like the odd one, because he's like the older guy. And but a lot of times I've heard where they would fight a lot. They would get into arguments even when they were with my sister's friends. But they would somehow patch it up, just like any toxic relationship, and then keep going. There had been some issues where one time, one of the many times, they got into a physical altercation, and he came up with a scratch on his face. And as you can see, the size difference, she was like barely like 105 or so, and he's like over 6 foot. And so the cops were called. A lot of times the neighbors would call the cops. On this time, they were called, and since he had a scratch, he pressed charges, and they took her. My other sister had said, like, why would you do that? Like, especially knowing like the many things that had gone with them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but like one time he almost broke her jaw, and she never pressed charges. She never even went to the hospital. She
Wow.
was just, yeah, many times she had bruises. My mom says that she would ask her, Erica, what is that? Like she, just suddenly catch her eye, like, what is that? And she would see her bruise. And oh, it's nothing, kind of like just it's like it's nothing. But as a parent, you're like, my God, like what happened for you to get a bruise like that? And it was like a constant thing where bruise here, bruise there. And on that time, she got charges pressed against her, and then he pretty much said, "Oh, I had nothing to do with it," and then he was trying to undo the damage, but now on paper, she's the one that looks like she's the aggressor and stuff like that. And like I said, as you can see the, you know, size difference and strength, it's obvious that he could, take control of her whenever he wanted. So on paper, It looked like she was the aggressor. She never called when she did call actually a few times, but when they would show up, she would just brush it off and say it was nothing, or same thing when the neighbors would call, same thing. So on paper, it's not there that she ever call like pressed charges or anything. The calls are there, but she never pressed charges or anything. And so that day, from what I know, they were supposed to get together, have lunch, and I guess, it was a good day. And my sister was supposed to take care of her nephew. And eventually her brother, like, they didn't end up doing anything, they canceled. So then she ended up staying home, where I guess my other sister, they were going to watch movies and, just stay at home, not do anything. And I guess they, started talking, and they decided to go out that day. So it wasn't planned. And so they went out, and my sister drove to his apartment in Irvine. And from there, they knew they were going to drink. So they took a Uber. Once they were there, my sister actually ran into a friend of hers, and I've talked to her, and she was like, yeah, she was her regular self. She had been drinking, but nothing overdone. She was just drinking, having a drink here and there, dancing, and he was like over in a corner by himself, just sitting there. Again, I don't know why he decides to go with a younger crowd if he's not gonna, be part of it. So anyways, my sister's friend says that, yeah, we danced, and then after she was leaving, and then my sister was in the elevator, and that's the last time that she saw her with her ex. They were leaving, and that as the elevator door was screaming, she screamed out, I love you. And that's something that she would do a lot. She would tell you she loved you, and she would send me messages, text messages, very randomly. I didn't have to message her. She would message me. She would call me. She would just show up to my house. She was very involved with my kids. So I can kind of, like, I can hear her voice, and I can hear her, screaming, I love you, to her friend. And so, oh, and then I'm sorry, they had met the couple. And again, as you see on the pictures, my sister is very friendly. She was holding hands with the girl. That was my sister. There's nothing mischievous. There's nothing, crazy. There's nothing weird. That's the way she was. She would go to a party. She would be very friendly. And it's not because she was trying to get something out of it. It's not because that was just her. She was super, super friendly. And since they had been drinking, the couple offered to take them home. And so they went back to his place, and they were drinking again. And for what my mom says, the detectives had told her that it was his apartment. He was the one that was making the drinks. And they kept drinking. They were just hanging out, and they kept drinking. And supposedly, this is what the couple said, that they started to argue. So they felt awkward, and then they left. And then from what the ex has said, that about 15 minutes later, Erica left. But from the toxicology report, she had so much alcohol in her that she wouldn't have been able to drive off, because from where he lived, there was like a good maybe 7 minutes to the freeway. And it was like you got out, made a right, and you went straight. She would have ended up crashing somewhere, or something would have happened. There was no way she could have driven out onto the freeway, made it, and then driven at all. And then now you add that she had GHB in her system, that combo. There's no way that she could have driven out, and nobody would have seen her, driving all crazy, especially in Orange County. People are calling, they see something, they call, they report it. So somebody would have seen something like that, they would have called, would have, and no, nothing. So he says that she left. But to me, my opinion, I don't think she ever left.
Can I jump in with a question real quick? So
Yeah.
when she drove her car over to his house before they Ubered and went out for the evening drinking, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And okay, so that's good to know. And then also when you had just touched on GHB being in her system, this is something that we're seeing with a lot of the other unalived people, and particularly women in Georgia with the Bermuda Triangle of the South and Natalie Jones. We're hearing, fentanyl, we're hearing GHB and all of this stuff. And it's interesting because GHB, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's not typically, to my understanding, and I may be wrong about this, not something that's typically used by females, because from what I recall, like it has a completely different effect on females than it does, or it can, than it does on males. I actually have been a victim of that. Luckily, I was with a handful of my college girlfriends, and it was a bouncer at a door who gave it to me as we were entering a VIP entrance, and they were passing out champagne, and I blacked out, but I was functioning blackout. But I can't say functioning in the sense of like I was completely there. So it's really, that's really weird that she would have that in her toxicology. Did they say how much GHB was in her system? Like, was it like a normal amount of what?
They just said high amounts. They said
Okay.
high amounts of alcohol and GHB to the point where it was lethal. They didn't give us exact numbers. They just said it was lethal amounts, which I understand. My sister, she would drink. I'm not gonna say she wasn't a drinker. She would drink. I mean, if you're gonna go out and to a club and whatever, you drink, but she was not the kind that would mix a drug like that and drink. Yeah, she would drink like crazy and stuff like that. And but she would, even if she was, in that mind where you drink and sometimes you don't make the best decisions, she would know not to take stuff like that intentionally. Like I've been, where I was younger and I would drink and I'm drunk and maybe, you're a little flimsy, but I still know what's going on.
Right.
So when people say, "Oh, well, I was drunk and I did that," and I'm like, "No, I've been drunk and like to like the point like it's really bad, but I still know what I'm doing." Whether
Right.
you want to do something and you've already had the courage or you want to, then that's different. But if you already know how you are, you're not going to be irresponsible and take that. It's not going to be like, "Oh, I'm drunk and suddenly I am going to take it." No, you know better.
Do you know?
So
Do you know how long it takes typically for GHB to, like, let's just say, like, when he could have, or when someone, or if we go with that theory and speculation that it could have been given to her, and how long it would have, because I know that it's typically put in drinks or can be mixed in liquid form. So how long would it have taken to kick in, do you think?
I myself, I don't know, but actually this other girls that did, actually one of the first people that covered my sister's story, she said that her personally, they had done it before.
Mhm.
They had tried it, and it's something that will hit you within, like I said, she said 15, 20 minutes.
That would make sense.
So it's not something that she would have taken at the club, because by then it would have, and with the levels of alcohol she had, she would have, like something would have happened right there and then when they got there.
Right.
So it's something, to me, from what I'm hearing about how long it takes and stuff like that, is something that was given at the house, at the apartment,
Right. How
because
long?
if she would have, mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, how long did the couple, when they gave their testimony or spoke to family, how long did they estimate that they were at the apartment before they decided to leave after Erica and her ex started fighting?
Well, I think around 1:30 or 2 is when they ended up leaving the club. And around, I think maybe 20 minutes the most from Costa Mesa to Irvine at that time because there's no traffic. So let's say from 2 something to supposedly 3:45, which is when he says that my sister left. That just gives you some time right there of how long they were at the apartment.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That gives you an idea about how long they had been there.
Gotcha.
And again, if it was something that was given to her at the club, I think by the time they would have gotten home, 20 minutes or so, she would have started showing some kind of symptoms,
Yeah,
something was wrong.
absolutely. Kat,
Did the club have cameras or anything?
Yeah, they did, and that's how they were able to take those pictures from the girl and the guy.
right here.
Yeah, and a lot of times they had, I mean, I don't know if I haven't been, they would take pictures like from the crowd too, because I have some pictures of my sister when she would, go out and I don't know, you would give them certain information and they would, have pictures of the crowd and stuff like that.
Mhm. And what do you believe the motive could have been for her? For her?
What do you mean? Like why it happened or why?
Yes.
This is just my opinion. Like I've said, it's my opinion, not my sister's, not my mom's. This is just my personal opinion from what I've gathered from everything that I've heard, pictures that I've seen. I feel that uh I don't think it was planned. Um, so that would make it, maybe even an accident. Um, I think maybe he might have had because at that time they weren't together. They were not together. My sister and him, they were not together. I think from some pictures that my mom and I saw that the detective showed us, I think he was interested in the girl. And from the face that she had on some pictures that we saw, it seemed like she was interested also. But see, my sister, she would not have been okay with that, especially like right in front of you. Here's this guy that we've been off and on that I have feelings for, trying to get with a girl in front of me. So
Right.
I think maybe he gave her something in her drink, and him, he's a big guy. Whatever dose he takes, maybe gave to her, not realizing or not thinking, that it was gonna affect her. It did.
Hmm.
And instead of him taking her to the hospital or, thinking about what can I do for her to, see what I can do to help her, he just started thinking about himself, oh crap, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna probably get, I have this and that I'm not supposed to have, and just thinking about him,
Hmm.
what's gonna happen to him. Instead of thinking, what, here's this girl that has loved my child. I have been off and on for 2 years. Supposedly, I have loved, I have cared for, and, stuff like that. We have been through a lot. And instead, I'm just gonna, not give her a chance and let her die. Because I don't know, maybe she wasn't dead. Maybe, but again, we will never know that. We will never know that. And I think the couple might have seen something. I think they know more than what they were saying,
Hmm.
especially the girl. Because when we tried to reach out to her, she was very, she didn't want to talk to us. She was annoyed. So my sister like stopped reaching out to her because we wanted to know, my sister's last minutes, how she was. To us, that's very precious. We would want to know if she was happy, if she was having, she was okay. And a lot of times people think that I'm being like narrow-minded, that I'm uh just focusing on him. And trust me, I would wish it was somebody else. I would want it to be somebody else, because just to think that my sister was dying at the hands of somebody that she cared for a lot, that she wanted to create a future with, to die at the hands of somebody that you care about, or you thought loved you or cared about you. To me, that it's crazy. I would rather have, or I'd rather think it was somebody else, but no, everything to me that I've seen and I've heard points to that person.
So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And we know you can look at statistics of even homicides. If there's a connection there, I mean, it hits different, and the motive or concealment to cover up. Those are all variables that come into play here. So let me just re-summarize what you stated. So they met this couple, and to your knowledge or understanding, they did not, neither one of them knew this couple. They just they were at the club at Sutra Lounge, and then they met this couple. And pictured on the right-hand side here is the ex-boyfriend. That's Erica in the black shirt on the left, and she's holding the woman's hand, and that's just part of her personality. We see that a lot.
The guy in the white shirt is actually the girl. That was the girl that her companion or friend or whoever he was.
Oh, gotcha.
I've never even gotten his name. The girl's name was Veronica.
Gotcha.
But the guy, I've never heard any info on him. Like, I know so they said the couple, so I know that he spoke to the authorities, but I don't even know his name. The girl's name is Veronica, and that's my sister on the left, and the girl on the right, and then the guy in the back in the white shirt, that's the guy that she was with that day.
Gotcha.
I don't know if they were friends. I don't know anything about their relationship,
And so, I mean, I'm just also noticing here, the stature of him versus Erica's ex-boyfriend that was there. And so it's interesting to see that. And possibly, I mean, that very well could be plausible as to maybe Erica's ex-boyfriend was like, hey, maybe we could, kind of get into a little swinging situation tonight. And Erica wasn't okay with it. Or maybe he knew that she wouldn't be okay with it. So if I just slip her a little bit of this, maybe that'll put her in the mood or something like that. Again, I mean, that's predatory, manipulative, and just wrong. Like, you don't do stuff like that. If you're going around, and I'm not saying that he did, it's just speculation, but anyone that does that to anyone else is they need to go check their balls at the door, excuse my language, but they're, trying to overcompensate for what they lack in their pants. But yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, all of that is quite telling, and it helps. I think it helps people understand the dynamic there of just Erica's ex and her relationship. It was rocky. You had some physical altercations. It just, again, it's what you said. It sounds a bit toxic, and as we see in a lot of toxic relationships, it becomes a vicious cycle. Can we go ahead and talk about, so from the time that she goes missing to when she was found, the conditions around how she was found, what was weird about that, key dates there? Can we get into that a little bit?
Yeah. So for my sister, I remember she's saying that whenever they would get into arguments, he would call and tell her, like, hey, we just got into it, but she's headed home. That time she didn't hear from him, and Erica was supposed to head back home that night. My sister says because that last time when she saw her, they was in the parking lot of where they lived, and they said their goodbyes, and she said, see you later. And then Erica waved and she went off into her car, and she left. And so from the plans were that she was going to come back that same night after, but of course it wouldn't have been weird if she wouldn't have come home, if she would have stayed or something. But she was always in contact with my sister where she would have let her know, or or something like that. Or if my sister would have called her right away, she would have answered right away. It's not like her to just go silent. She was always letting her know where she was, or they had the same group of friends. So if my sister, let's say, didn't know where she was, she would just start asking around, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I saw her here," or like, at the club, one of her friends was there. It's a In Orange County, I feel like you're always gonna bump into people, or people that know you, or you kind of know, or you went to school with, or anything. So anybody would have seen her or told her, I saw her here or something. And then when my sister started noticing that nobody had heard from her or seen her or anything, that's when she started to get worried. And for her to get worried me, because she's not the kind that would worry. So when she had called me on that Wednesday, that she asked me if I had seen her, and I go, no, I haven't. And just to hear her voice, I had never heard her voice like that. Very kind of with fear and kind of borderline wanting to cry because she was in fear. I had never heard her voice like that before. So that made me scared. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, but she could be here, there, still thinking that maybe she hadn't called enough people. But as she told me who the last person was, um, that's when I literally I had watched shows like, Crime Watch Daily, whatever, Dayline, and I'd seen what happens when people go missing like this, especially after if like the last person is a somebody that was in a toxic relationship, or there was violence, or stuff like that. So that is when I started fearing, and I drove home, and I started crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gone, she's gone, she's gone. And I just thought that was my mentality the minute I knew that he was the last person that saw her. My family was still trying to be positive, and you know, somehow maybe something else happened, or maybe we were even thinking after, when they're like, you know what, maybe she did get in an argument with him, and maybe she did, and it was so bad that maybe she's bruised up and she's ashamed. She doesn't want to be seen, or she doesn't, want us to see her. But which was weird, which she would still at least text or call or something. But I was like, okay, maybe that's what happened. Maybe they did get into something, but something happened physically where we could see, and she doesn't want us to see it. She doesn't want to hear it from us, or she is ashamed, or whatever. But then with time going, and again, nothing. And he never called. He never said, hey, how are you guys doing? Do you guys need me to help? Pass out flyers or anything, or anything. He never called us or anything. And again, as we Ortega Highway is somewhere where authorities looked, um because that's a place where he was very familiar with. He would ride his motorcycles there a lot.
Mhm.
And so they looked there, because a lot of times I didn't know, but I guess like there's a lot of times when it does happen, when people they dump bodies or their cars, or it's like a dumping ground for stuff. I didn't know that. And so we looked, whenever we could, we stopped and tried and looking, and nothing. And I remember it was like, just where could you be? Like, where could you be? I felt so, when I would eat, I felt like I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I remember it was like raining a lot during that time. And what if she's not? What if she's hungry? Or what if they have her somewhere? Thinking all this, and I really feel bad for those people that have lost someone and they have not found them,
Yeah.
because I lived that for 73 days, and I literally was like borderline going crazy. Like, I was literally, and at that time I don't think I was very religious. Actually, something had happened where a cousin of mine had lost his life. He was very young, so that pushed me away from religion. But you're at a point where sometimes you're like, you know what, God, please give us answers. Please let her have us back. Let her come home. And then you get to a point where you're like, you know what, let her come home, even if it means that she's not alive. But I want her to come back home. I want her to I want to know that she's not in pain. I want to know that I want to be able to go visit her, at the cemetery. I want to know that she's not here with us anymore, but we want to have her back. And you ask and you ask, and sometimes God gives you answers, but it's not what you want. It's not exactly what you wanted, So finally, my aunt drives to Ortega, and every day she commutes, and she saw white vans, and she called me like at 8 in the morning. And so I called my mom, and then she called Erica's dad, because we don't have the same dad. And that's how he ended up going there. And the news people were there already, and they didn't let him go over there. But from the clothes that she was wearing, they said that it could be her, and they called my mom. They said that they did find a body and stuff like that, but they couldn't confirm. So that whole day was like a waiting game, and I was like, you know what? From what I've heard and seen, they don't identify somebody so fast, So I actually, because I live in LA, I was here in LA waiting, and around 5 in the afternoon, I had the TV on, and it comes up, breaking news. The body of Erica Alonso was found. And I kind of knew, but just to hear it on TV, hear it, like, these are personal things, it really, it hurts that everybody, I mean, I understand people help you, to spread the word and stuff, but when it comes to like this, like, everybody has to know, like, everybody. So I started calling my family. They weren't answering, and because I was mad because they hadn't called me. And my sister said, finally she answered. She goes, well, the detectives are literally just leaving right now. We didn't know. And there was news people outside recording some of her friends coming in, and us crying. And I just felt like that was so invasive. Like I get you want to get a story and stuff like that, but at that time it's just like, so like, just, I don't know, you just wanted to have a little private moment. And
Yeah.
so then I went home that afternoon, and all her friends, like family, were all there and just crying, and realizing that we had finally found her. And again, like, it gave me a little bit of peace, because I'm like, okay, I got my answer, not the one I wanted, but I got my answer, And again, I feel so bad for those families that they go years, lifetimes, not knowing, like, that I don't know how they do that. I seriously do not know how they do that. Like, that is crazy, crazy, especially as like the close family. Because I feel those are the ones that, years pass, and the parents, the siblings, those are the ones that are still feeling it, Those are the ones that are still, they will still always have the pain. I sometimes might look like I'm smiling. I sometimes might look like I'm okay, but I'm not. It's very hard. It's a very hard situation to be in, and I didn't pick to be here. I don't pick to be, to put my face out, but I have to do it. I have to do it. It's something that mentally sometimes I feel like it drives me crazy, or drives me into like depression, but I'm like, I have to do it. I have to. If it's, I love her, and I loved her, and I don't want for her just to be like another number, another case number. She was my little sister. She was Erica Melissa Alonso, and she had a name. She has a family, that loves her and misses her every single day. I miss her.
Yeah.
I miss her so much,
We have
So,
we have Jamie Brand here in the comments. Her sister is one of the women in the Bermuda Triangle of the South that was found unsolved, suspicious cases. And she just commented, "I know how you feel," and sent, praying emoji to you. And that's one thing I touched on before, which is that, all of these families have the silver lining here is finding their way to each other, but it's like you don't want to find your way to each other under these circumstances, because it's rooted in tragedy, and it's rooted in darkness and death and nefarious people still walking around.
Exactly.
So
And the thing is that, you know what, it sucks because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do in situations like this. You don't know, we were lucky that a friend of my sister's set up the Facebook account, but we were like, we didn't know what to do. There's no book where we can look up what to do, when your loved one is missing, or you are lost and you are in such pain, or it's like you're trying to hold it together, but at the same time it's nice when, like, if somebody steps in and helps you and guides you. So like on my sister's page, whenever somebody wants me to share something, and I'm like, of course, if I can do anything else, please. Like, if I've had where I see people that are missing, and I'm like, if it's near my area, Orange County or LA, I'm like, if you want me to help you put up flyers, I will help you, because it helps me feel, I guess, better. To help someone that has been in the same situation, to be involved with somebody that knows your pain and you don't have to explain it.
yeah.
It helps you, it helps you. And it's 9 years, and I feel sometimes like, my God, 9 years already, and nothing, has happened. Nothing. So what I'm like, God, please. And I ask her, I mean, again, I'm not super religious, but sometimes, like, that's all you have. That's
Yeah.
all you have. And you're like, please guide me. Please give me the patience, to continue. Please give me the strength to
Yeah.
continue this journey, alone or whatever, but help me,
Yeah. Give you a
and then,
sign, something.
and along the way, again, just like, I'm sure you heard of Sarah Turney.
Mhm.
She did my sister's case, and it felt so good to talk to someone that understood my pain, understood. She's never found her sister, and again, that's crazy to me. That's super painful. But to be able to talk to her and go, ask her questions, say, is this crazy? This is happening to me, and she'll talk to me and go, and because she already knows what I'm feeling, she knows where I'm coming from. And it's nice to talk to somebody that, understands you, and you don't have to explain. They already know, so to be able to talk to someone, and she was super nice, she's great, so
Yeah.
for somebody to come and again, to share each other's stories, for you guys to have shared my sister's story, it means so much, so in return, like, I try to do the same thing with anybody or whoever, it just helps. It makes you, it feels like you're helping someone else on their journey.
Yeah. Well, that I think is one of the biggest things with us. I mean, we each, with, clearly Erica's case is completely opposite coast. West Coast is not really involved in our triangle, but it's like I always tell people, with Erica and you and in particular, and I believe your mom, I may have communicated with as well, or maybe another sister. I'm not really sure. But we pick each other up. And I feel that each person, that whether they're a true crime junkie, whether they're doing a podcast, whether they're, your Sarah attorneys or your retired FBI agents or advocates in any capacity, Many of us, like myself and Kat, we have no affiliation with Natalie's family whatsoever. And many others in Natalie's community, we're just people who saw that something was incredibly not right, is the best words I can use right now with this case, and said that we have to do something. And we felt compelled to do something because each of these people matter. And as we've branched out within Georgia and the Bermuda Triangle of the South, this is, I mean, it is incredibly, like, it's incredibly depressing to see statistics. And we know that some of those statistics are, suppressed because governors don't want their state to have X amount of homicides a year. So I'm pretty sure that there's some inner workings within government and some medical examiners are, going on there. Not sure how widespread that is, but I think that when you have these cases, it's just like, my heart goes out to every single one of them, every single last one of them, because at the end of the day, they're all people and they mattered, and they had families, they had friends, they had babies, and the list goes on, right? And the one incredible thing I'll say is each person, in my opinion, now we've had a lot of nefarious people trying to come in and muddy the water in Natalie's case, and they still try, and we just shut the door in their face. But because we're getting close, and the closer we get, the more of them, the more tactics that they try to roll out. But
that's how you know you're doing a good job. If they're getting like that, it's because you're like, we're headed in the right direction.
That's true. That's exactly right. But everyone contributes something different. Everyone that's in this true crime space in whatever capacity, I feel like they each bring something to the table. And it's whether one of them needs to be diplomatic and take a journalistic approach, or like me, I can go off the handle and get spicy. That's my nickname, because I just have no patience to sit here and be diplomatic with nefarious people, corruption in law enforcement, whatever. Like, I'm not here to be your friend. Like, I want answers, and Natalie's children deserve answers. But anyways, I want to get back to a few videos. So let's just touch on really quickly. So she was missing for how many days before the car was found? Or did she go missing, and when the actual dates?
Before when the car was found, or when she was found?
Yeah, like what date did she go missing, and then what date was the car found?
Well, to me, again, they haven't given us an exact date, but to me, April 15th is the day that she went missing.
Gotcha.
That's the day that her phone just went. I mean, a lot of people, when they're on their phones, you're always charging it. When she would come over, she was charging it. She was charging it in the car. She always had her phone charged.
Mm-hmm.
So for her phone to go dead, straight to voicemail, or not answering, that was very not like her. So that right there was, like a red flag,
Mm-hmm.
So from there, my sister reported her, because she was supposed to go to work. She didn't show up to work, and she wasn't like that. She was actually very hardworking. So she would surprise me. She was already at work, and she's like, well, they asked me to stay. I might as well stay. I'm already here. I'm like, I'm the kind of person, bye. I'll leave. And so she would surprise me. So she went missing. My sister reported her missing. We started looking for her. Again, nothing. Her car was found March 25th in about a mile away from where she was living with my mom, in a residential area. It's not somewhere where you just passing by. Like, you have to drive into the area, and parking is very, it's very hard to find parking, especially in the afternoon. So to me, it's like somebody must have planned that out, because for you to find parking in an area that's kind of hidden away. It's not like on a main street. And then all her stuff was there. Everything but the phone was there. Her purse, her wallet, her cards, her some stuff that she had, everything was there. And but her phone wasn't. So I'm like, what is on that? Why was the phone not there? What was on the phone that the person had to get rid of or take? Or now I think sometimes people like to take things just to, it's like symbolizes something for them. I don't know if that was the case. But again, and from there, it gets our hopes up. It's a day before her birthday. We're like, yes, we're finding something. Things are rolling again, And within those weeks, it's very hard, and it felt things were going very slow. So imagine those people that do this for months and years, and it's, at least we thought it was going slow, but it was actually going kind of fast. And then after that, again, then her body was found. God, I'm going blank right now. On what was it? April? Oh my God, I forgot the date. Though she was actually found. April, end of April, and then but we didn't know until the next day. And then at the end of the day, that's when they told us, that it was her. It was through dental records. And from the way she was found, it was in an area where you could, if you would look out, you could see her. She wasn't hidden. She was like placed there. Like if you would look over the rail, if you stopped or got a flat tire or anything, you were to look over, you could have seen her. Now it's full of weeds and stuff like that. And now water has, because of rain, whatever, has moved all the rocks, but you would have been able to see her. So she wasn't hidden. She was placed there, kind of like for us to find her.
Yeah. And I saw a report. It was April 27th. And now can you confirm, like, was her body laid out, or was it actually wrapped? Was it found wrapped in plastic bags and duct tape?
I don't want to get too many details because my family, I read I had got, again, when we got the autopsy report, I read briefly through it, and I stopped. My mom has not. She, I think, looked at some of the pictures, but she didn't read through it. My sisters have not read through it. Months went by. I decided to read through it, and it kind of like hit me. It hit me again. Like it was kind of like it was. It's hard to explain because it's like reliving it again, like the very, very, very first day, reliving it again, and it affected me so much, but I thought it didn't, to the point where I went to work the next day, and I felt weird, like my mind was just not there. I was working, but I was just like something. I even told a coworker, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go home. I'm just not feeling well. And I told my boss, my manager, and then as I was telling her, I just exploded and started to cry. And she doesn't know, she didn't know. Other coworkers that have been there for a while, they know the story. And once in a while, they'll ask me. And sometimes I know they don't mean, to be harsh or anything, but they don't realize sometimes it catches you off guard. And they'll ask me, "Oh, how's your sister's case doing?" And I try to kind of like answer quick, or sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. I don't get to pick and choose. That day, I literally I couldn't talk. She just saw me and she was like freaking out. Like, and again, I couldn't stop because I was holding it in. So it kind of just came out. And, so not, my family doesn't know a lot of the details, so I can't speak too much of all the details. But from what I can say is that she was found in a fetal position in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
And that's about it, like the details I can say.
Let's
But they did say that she was not there the whole time, that she was kept somewhere else because the state of decomposition she was in was not advanced. As if she would have been there from day one, it would have been way worse. where you could still recognize her. Her dad was the only one that was able to see her. They didn't recommend for us to do it, and they said, and if you do, you have to sign some paperwork if you guys want to. For the longest time I debated, if I should have, if I, because when we got her, it's in a bag. Well, at the funeral place, she's in a bag. It's like just somebody telling you, okay, here's your loved one. So you have to believe it. Your brain is telling you, your brain and heart are trying to connect. Okay, here's the person that you love. You don't see them, but she's here. So I think that has been something very, very hard for me to try to understand. Her father got to see her, and he said that it did still look like her.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the only one that's able to see her. So after that, I love how people came together. We had a GoFundMe and started donating, because it's very expensive to for a funeral and everything. It's it's like buying a car more. People think it's like cheap. It's super expensive. And people helped us. So many people showed up at the cemetery. There was no parking. You couldn't even get into the cemetery.
Oh.
And that made me feel so good. I was like, my God, look at all these people that don't even know her, but they showed up. They showed up, and they're here for. She would have been so happy to see all these people that that cared, strangers, people had never seen before, but they knew her story and showed up. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
That's sometimes, and that's what we've seen with Natalie's community. I mean, complete strangers that didn't even know her, that took time out of their day to go search for her, because again, like hearing you talk about Erica's case, it really brings up so much with Natalie, missing phone, everything else that she had on. Well, I'm going to just air quote say that for, future investigation purposes, but her handbag and wallet and all that stuff conveniently placed in the passenger seat. Very similar there, very similar. Found in the car, all these suspicious circumstances. But the community, these people, a lot of them didn't even know her, and they just showed up because, that's what community does. They show up and they want to help. And I definitely want to let Kat kind of dovetail into that in a few minutes here about law enforcement and your impressions with law enforcement and their investigation. But first, I definitely want to add a little snippet. So this is the area, and I'll play it in just a second, but this is the area of where she was found, correct?
Yeah, right now it looks very different. When the day of, actually it was very, very dry for some reason. It was like very, there's a little bit, but it was dry, even though it had been raining. I don't know. It was dry, and then she was in between two huge rocks. But throughout time, when it has rained like that and like water has crossed, like everything has been moved. But one of the big rocks that she was next to is still there. So that's where my mom actually has put a cross or something right there. We actually had put a 4-foot cross, like a big, and it got moved from the rain, the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how strong it had gotten. But my mom always goes back, and right there in that area, I don't know if you can see by a big tree, that's where she was kind of next to.
Gotcha. Is it right here where the mouse is hovering?
No, that's if you're looking to the right.
Okay.
That's like if you're looking from right to left at the stream. But as you turn to the left, if you play it, it'll show like a big tree, and that's where I think there's like a flowers or something right there that my mom put. Right there at the bottom of the tree, there's like, I don't know if you can see them. I can't see them myself. There's like some flowers and stuff. But again, it's just like with time, like right now the water, anything that you have put like gets moved. So we always have to come, and it's not super easy to get down there.
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially with rain and things get slippery, rocks get moved. But that's the big tree. And then to the left, all the way to the left right there, it used to be clear. All that used to be clear. So from the left right there down, you could see her location.
Oh,
To the
wow.
left of the tree, it's like up high, and all that was clear. You were able to see it from the road. Yeah,
No,
so as I'm going up to the left of the tree up, it's like it was cleared up and you could see down. You could see straight down. So all those shrubs and stuff like that, they weren't there. It was cleared. And there was actually, if I would have stepped more to the left right there, there's like this tunnel where the water is supposed to wash out.
Mm-hmm.
That I was thinking, okay, if the person didn't go down where we went, which was the easiest way, that is somewhere where a body of somebody I could fit and like take something down without being seen too.
Mm.
A drainage. But again, right now with all the shrubs, it's like covered.
Right.
But
And,
they say that they don't think she was thrown, that she was placed there.
and this is
See,
the
from
street.
right there, before you would have been able to look down and there was no shrubs or anything. You could look clear down. And I just went recently and I put a new picture
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, with the years and stuff. So every time, like, and the people that actually clean the area, they had messaged me on Instagram and they were nice enough where they were like, you know, we're supposed to take stuff off, but we're gonna clean it and we're gonna put it back. And I was
Oh,
like, thank you so much. Like, they don't have to do that.
right. Kat, do you want to pick back up?
Yeah, so do you think law enforcement is doing a good job in handling her case?
Um, Honestly, I feel they could do more. They're nice. They're not rude to us. Like I've gone, you know, when a detective, you know, goes up in rank or gets a better, you know, whatever position and or they move or whatever, somebody else gets it. I mean, they've all been nice. They've all been whenever you have anything, you know, stuff like that. But I just feel like to me, it seems like they're just waiting for stuff to come to them, you know. I mean, again, you learn with other cases that you hear and stuff, and other cases there's detectives that are looking for things, talking to people without the family saying anything or, you know, stuff like that. And I feel, oh yeah, we talked to that person already. Okay. Okay, but you know, with the my sister's friend that she saw at the club that night, she says that they never talked to her. And then I remember when we were going to the meetings, they had told us that, yeah, people were saying that she was acting drunk or she was acting like this. I'm like, how can you go that people that don't even know her, how can you say if they don't know her how she's acting or anything and you didn't talk to the one person that knew her? You know, but she says that they never talked to her and that we had told they knew about her, but they never. So how can you not talk to a person that actually knew her behavior, could have told you, look, like she looked like she would had been drugged or looked like she this or that. She says no, like we had hugged, you know, in the parking lot and stuff. So she knew her. So how can you not have talked to somebody that knew her? You
Yeah.
know, like how could you have missed something like that? Stuff like that. Like I feel like again, to a certain point, I feel like they lose interest. Again, you know, you're not the perfect female to go missing, you know, the perfect college girl or mom that stay, you know, it's like so you're not the perfect person, so you kind of like lose interest or kind of I'm not saying that they have, but say, oh well, she was kind of, you know, in that atmosphere and you know, it's like you don't do that. It's a person, no matter who it is, it's a person, you
That's
know, that deserves justice.
Yeah, that's exactly what we heard with although we believe that there is corruption with Natalie's case, but it's something that we've seen with all of the women that we've connected with, or all of, I should say, all of their families that have popped up unalived, suspicious circumstances, male or female for that matter. And that's that. And this is where I get a little feisty and a little spicy, is that we are, and I'm saying we as in Natalie's community, and I'll speak up for all of the other families that we're connected to, Heather Turner, Sydney Kersey, Olivia Fowler, Lauren Henderson, Tiffany Foster, Vince League, etc. These are very back the blue people. And some of us are, we have family, friends, spouses in law enforcement. But if I had someone tell me once that they gave me like a background understanding of law enforcement, which is just that, you get in, a lot of times you have these alpha insecure males. And I mean, I'm going to sound like an uber feminist here, but if the shoe fits, it fits, strap it on. And they become jaded because they're out in the streets and they just see all of this darker side of reality, because it is reality. And they lose empathy for victims. They lose, and they just, the 1 minute they hear escort, prostitute, drugs, way too much alcohol, or whatever, it's just like, and it's not to say that they're writing them off completely, but it's just, they don't care as much as they would, as I mentioned before, for the Gabby Petitos, the Anaya Blanchards, the Molly Tibbetts, the cookie cutter, girls in church that are in sororities or whatever. And that's just, it's not fair. Erica, along with any other victim, and again, I'm not going in on the police department there. They're clearly a lot more busy than a lot of our families in the Bermuda Triangle of the South, in these rural areas where they're, cops are going on lunch for an hour and a half and don't have, this, that, or the other going on. So they have less of an excuse, but it really just simplifies down to that these are not toys. These women and people are not toys that you're trying to find that you can go put back on a shelf. They were living and breathing. And when you took that oath to protect and serve, you're 100% in or you're not. I don't want to hear any excuses about you're jaded or, you don't have the funds or the resources. Not my problem. You go into this, if that's not like, if you can't give 100% at being a detective or being a cop or being an EMS or what have you, turn over your badge, get out and go do something else with your life. That's just my stance on it personally, because these are people that could have been saved, or answers could have gotten faster, or, re-interviewing a person could open or split the case wide open. And I just have very little empathy in that sense. So I get a little spicy there.
I just feel like I've noticed there's like two different kind of authorities. The kind that like will go and get stuff done and will look for things, even if they don't solve a case, but you're seeing their persistence and stuff. And then the kind that will sit back and like, yeah, let me just wait for stuff to, just pop onto my lap, and then I'm gonna look at it, and then I'm gonna tell you how, yeah, it's nothing, it's
Right.
yeah.
Like her phone just goes missing and that's nothing. And I mean, you clearly have all of these signs pointing at one person, and it would be my mission to crack this person, to trip them up, to get them back in interviewing, to anything that I can do to get this case over and done with. It's kind of like, I always think of it from like a work perspective. You've got those people that just allow the clutter to build up in their inbox and then get to it over time. Or you have the people that like to go ahead and respond, resolve, archive it. And I want to touch on this really quickly. Melissa in our comments here. Yes, Melissa, the video that you saw was where she was found. And Melissa is asking, how was she found? So we discussed that before, Melissa. She was found in, I guess you would consider that like a creek bed like it turns into a creek when it rains more so, and who found her?
It was these, I forgot the name. These people that study frogs. I forgot the name.
Oh, so they were
But
out.
they were out at night looking for a certain species or something, and they just happened to find her. Nobody was looking for her there at that time. Nobody, they just happened to find her. They were looking for frogs,
Wow.
and that they were studying, and so they called the authorities, but since it was too late, they waited for the next morning. And again, from what they could see that it was her. It was her clothes. They did say that she did her boots. They had taken off her boots. Um, but her clothes, the clothes that she was wearing that day, even her contacts, which my sister would always take her you always take your contacts off when you go to sleep or stuff like that. Her contacts
Right.
were still on because she wore glasses. And when she would go out or whatever, she would wear contacts, and her contacts were still on. So whatever happened that night. And the authorities have told us they don't say names. They say we cannot say names, and we cannot, but we do have one person of interest, but we do need physical evidence. Even if
Yeah.
one day he were to say, you know what, I did this, that's not enough. It has to be physical evidence. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, well, then why aren't you looking for it? There's again, I don't, you don't know these things, but then I'm like, I asked them because I had some questions, ever so often I get these questions and I call whoever has her case at that time. And I've asked them, did you guys take a cadaver dog to his apartment? That's one thing. And if you have so many circumstantial evidence at that point, that will build a case. If you would have had that and then more and more and more, you would have something, but you don't even do that. And I've asked them, are you limited on funds, or no, we're not. And I'm just like, then why didn't you do it? And again, I didn't know. I mean, if I would have known these things, I would have pushed them, but you don't know these things. You're so into what your brain is going through trying to adjust, and you don't know, you trust that they know what they're doing. So you just let them be. You let them, there's neighbors that said that they heard a scream that night, and stuff like that, because we went around talking to people too. The neighbors that were around there, we went, and my mom says that there was a lady that was like right next to the apartments, that said that she did hear, and they did say that. But again, with so much little evidence, even if it's circumstantial, it adds up. And to this point, 9 years, you would have something,
Right.
and if you kept pushing, you would have even more. But I feel like there's no push. Like if I find something, I send it to them. If I know I get it, because people will send me information through social media,
Mm-hmm.
I send it to them. But I just don't feel like the hurry or the I want to solve this case is there. Like it's not like again, it's like, they're nice, they're cordial, they tell me whenever you have a question, when I call, they answer, they're nice. But it's like I want them to have the want to do this, the want to get
Mhm.
answers, like, don't you want to solve this case? Don't you want to solve other cases? Or do you just want to be sitting at your job and getting cases? And no, I mean, if I'm doing a job, I would want to see results,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I want. I wish they had that, I wish they had that want of wanting to get results for people.
What is the status of her case today? It's open with.
It is opened. It's a cold case. It's opened, and it's undetermined. Her death is undetermined, and they said they left it like that because that way they could still go into it and investigate. Because if they just left it, let's say as OD, even though that's you know part of it, it would be closed. So they left it as undetermined, and that gives them the ability to come back and look into it, and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Kat?
Well, one thing that this is 9 years ago that y'all didn't have was probably location. Like, we share each other's location now. 9 years ago, y'all didn't, you know. So it's just Ugh. Um, are you hopeful that her case will be solved?
I have to be.
Hmm.
I have to be. I have to be. And again, I'm on this journey. I feel like I'm alone at times, but I have to. I tell myself it will get solved. And I again, I'm not super religious. I'm not, but I ask my sister for patience. I'm like, please guide me, please give me patience, please, show me the way, like just, again, because I can't. I know I'm crazy. I'm like, I know she's the type that if she could somehow communicate with me, she would. I'm gonna tell you something real quick. In the early, maybe 2 years into it, I was going crazy. I was like, there's no, and the thing is that we didn't get to see her. I felt if we would have been able to see her body, it's traumatizing, but you kind of heal a little bit and it hits you like, okay, she's not here. But just to be told she's not here anymore, she passed away, this and that, it's harder for the heart to understand. So I was going through a stage where I was literally going crazy. I'm thinking, oh my God, there must be a way of bringing her back. There must be a way of, just thinking crazy, thinking crazy. I was literally like losing my mind. And one night I had a dream with her and I wrote it down because sometimes you forget dreams. I wrote it down the minute I woke up that on the dream, she walked by and I recognized, the clothes that she was wearing. And then she came and she walked in front of me and she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. And I looked at her and it made me feel so good. And then like we hugged and I was telling her, I don't want to let you go because I know the minute I let you go, I open my eyes, you're going to be gone. Because I squeezed her so hard and finally I woke up and, but it made me feel better somehow. After that, I felt more calm. I felt
Hmm.
this I don't know, it's weird to explain. I just felt more calm. Like I felt like, okay, you're gone. You knew I needed this. Thank you for coming and giving me some peace because I was going crazy. I was going crazy and she came and she hugged me and it was so, like they say, it is so real. It was so real. And just to see she smiled at me, but she did have tears in her eyes. And when she reached out to hug me and as I was hugging her, I was telling her I don't want to let go because I know the minute I do, you're gonna be gone. But it gave me peace. It gave me peace.
Yeah, that just gave me cold chills hearing you say that because I know that I mentioned earlier Jamie Brand, the sister of Sydney Kersey, and her mom, Debbie, are watching this right now. And that was something that it was just powerful testimony that Miss Debbie said because she shuts down like that whole week. I think it was close to, if I'm not mistaken, it's close to Sydney's birthday. And she just shuts down and wants to sleep for the week. And she said in that video when we did the live that people ask, why she does that. And she said, because I get to sleep and I get to dream and I get to see my baby, and that's just, it's just tears your heart out. I mean, it really does. It's crazy. But one thing I'll say here is, and we're so far removed in that, we're not family of Natalie, but I've met both of her sons and I've hugged them both. And, I've met her mother many times. Kat, we both have, and our other admins and community admins and members and stuff like that. And you form a connection. And one thing with all of our digging into this case, in Natalie's case specifically, is that there are little moments, and I'm kind of like you, I'm not super religious, historically, but there have been moments where I've just been sitting there and I'm like, Natalie, if you're here, like, please give me a sign, like, show me, like, move my mouse over here. Cause right now I'm on the clerk of courts looking at this, or this, like, show me who to look at, and there will be just like something out of nowhere. So, it makes it restores faith
And,
that they're showing up in spirit
mhm.
to help you in whatever moment that you may be in. And I think that Erica, I mean, there's nothing like a bond of a sister. I know Jamie knows that for Sydney Kersey, and for you with Erica, and just that family connection of, I mean, here, who's pictured here?
The male is my cousin. The 3 girls hugging are my sisters.
Or all your sisters?
Yeah, the girl in the back, that's his stepdaughter.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
mean,
That was last minute, and again, I live in LA and they're all in Orange County. That was last minute, so I wasn't able to attend.
yeah. I mean, it's so many senseless tragedies. Let me ask you really quickly, have you or your family had any correspondence outside of law enforcement talking with the ex-boyfriend? Have you guys had any correspondence with him? What has his demeanor or tone been? And when's the last time you guys talked to him?
I'm gonna say something. I reached out through Instagram because I knew it was his account. And he denied it was him. He got upset. At that point, I didn't know you could call through Instagram, and he called and he had someone else call saying that it wasn't him, to stop bothering him and stuff like that. And I was like, like, fine, okay, I know it's you, but And then after that, he made his account private. The relatives that he was following that I knew was his relatives, he stopped following. So that just made me more like, okay, I knew, see, you just gave me proof that it was you. But in his mind, I think he has set up his mind where he says it's an accident, so it's not bad. It's not like, I think in his mind he has set up, well, you know what? It was an accident. It was not intentional, so it's okay. But it's not okay. It is not okay. If you kill someone in a car accident, okay, might be an accident, but doesn't mean that it's okay. You still have to pay, you know? And
Right.
more if, like, I feel like, you took her chance away. I feel like, what if she was alive and you took her, instead of taking her to the hospital, you decided to, put her somewhere to hide or something, What if she could have had a chance? You take her to the hospital and they could have done something, and she would be here today having her family, having gone to school, having, the stuff that she had on her bucket list. She would have done it already. She would have been here for my kids. It hurts me that my kids tell me, Mom, I don't remember her. Even though I'm always showing pictures, I'm always showing videos so they don't forget her voice, But
Yeah.
it's hard. It's very hard to try to, for them, because they were so small, to not, and I feel, again, because we didn't get to see her, to them, they just tell me, yeah, I remember everybody crying, but we didn't know why. It's not like if they would have seen her body, it would have been like, okay, it's very hard when you don't get to see the body.
Yeah, that's the same. Natalie's mother didn't view her body, but there's a lot of questionable stuff around that we'll have to do another separate episode on. It's really just senseless, and I think if the ex ever hears this and knows more, or even the couple that was there that acts like they were bothered after, this is a family that deserves answers. And if there should not be resistance. If you're truly innocent of anything, in my opinion, then why do you need to feel like, I mean, I get the initial knee jerk reaction to feel like, oh, like they're going to come after me. But, you know, if you're just trying to have a conversation with them and to like, if I knew that I was innocent of all of that, like talk with the family, you know, be there for the family. Doesn't mean just because you had a rocky relationship with Erica that, if you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't do anything wrong. And that's just, it's very questionable behavior, in my opinion. She was,
Yeah, when her body was found, the authorities told us that he got a lawyer, so they weren't able to talk to him anymore.
yeah, typical. Typical. I mean, she just had, you always hear it. I feel like with all of these cases, you know, great smile that could light up a room. But it's so true. It's cliche at this point, but it's just so true. I mean, all of these people mattered. And I hate saying it in past tense because they actually still matter, whether they're here or not. And I would just like to say, you know, Natalie's community, we're here for you. We've, you know, our paths crossed very early on. And with all the other people in the Bermuda Triangle of the South and those communities, like we're growing in numbers by the day. And we formed alliances and people with resources and different walks of life. And these are people that are out here trying to do good things and to get answers. And even if, you know, they can't get answers, they could advocate. And the smallest little things help when you're dealing with cold cases and cases like Erica's that have been sitting idle, or maybe not idle, but sitting cold for so long. Is that sharing their stories is so important. Keeping their names out there, keeping their hashtags alive, resharing videos. Where can people find Erica's community on like social media? Can you plug that?
Well, the very first one that her friend opened was Justice for Erica. First, it was Find Erica Alonso. Now it's Justice for Erica Alonso on Facebook. And then on Instagram, also the same. I have, it's with Erica in our hearts. And then, TikTok that I just opened. And again, I'm not, I don't feel comfortable and it's not something that I like to talk in front of people, but it's something that I have to do. Like I've been pushing myself to, you know, to talk, to do this and do that. And it's not because I'm comfortable. It's not because something I like to do, but it's something that I have to do.
It's your
You
sister.
know, yes, I have to do it. No choice. There's no, I have to do it. I have to. I love her and I think by me doing this, she feels the love that I have for her, that I'm not giving up on her. I am not giving up on her.
Yeah.
Even if it means me growing old and having to dedicate this for the rest of my life, I am going to do this for her.
Yeah. She's worth it.
Yes, she is.
Absolutely worth it. Well, I appreciate you being here with us. And if you ever want to go live again, we're happy to. We will continue sharing her story and, just grateful that we've made our way to each other. And Natalie's community is here to support Erica's community and all the other people in the Bermuda Triangle of the South are it's an unfortunate trauma bond to share with one another, but I do believe that change can be made in some way, shape, or form. And, if we can't get answers alone, we can band together and advocate for one another to get answers for one and then have that trickle down for as many others as we can. That's just kind of what Natalie's community stands for. Is leading and doing good things. So
Yeah. And I just want to say, thank you to you guys because people like you supporters, people like you. It's seriously, you sometimes think, oh, I'm not doing that much, but trust me, you are such a support system to the families. The little things that you might do, or little share you might do, or any little thing that you do, trust me, the families see it and it means so much. And I think that's what pushes people to continue, to see people care, strangers. It's like, I feel like if it wasn't there, I don't know if I would be doing it. I would be so lost in my depression or so lost in my pain that I wouldn't be able to do it. But to see like all these people, pushing along, it's like, it's amazing work. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, I think for every bit of, I just see it as a balancing act, for every bit of darkness out there, you've got lightness, right? So, I mean, you've got a lot of nefarious people out there doing these awful things, but then you have a lot of people with resources, a lot of a lot of empaths, and just kind of mama bear personality types. I think that most of us in Natalie's community are, you have a lot of headstrong Southern women that are just, they're mama bears, and that they care for Natalie like they would their own child, or their own sister, and the same goes for all of the others. And I'm sure with Erica's community, and all the other, I mean, nationwide, globally, like this goes on everywhere. And so, well, we just really hope beautiful Erica will get justice, and everyone just please continue to share her story, hashtag follow her social accounts, and we will, we're here for the ride. So anytime you need us, we're here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.